Everything you knew about growing older is 100% wrong. 7 things that don't matter after 70, and why letting go sets you free.
There's a quiet, almost imperceptible shift that happens after the age of 70. It's not sudden, and it's not something the world applauds or even notices. But within you, something changes. You begin to realize that much of what you chased, status, possessions, recognition, doesn't carry the weight it once did. That job title you used to announce with pride becomes irrelevant in casual conversations. The car you drove, the home you built, the image you projected. These once felt like shields against mortality, markers of success. But now, they feel heavy. What begins to rise instead is something far more subtle. A hunger for peace, for time well spent, for mornings where you sip your tea and feel no urge to prove anything to anyone. The world moves fast, but you no longer chase it. You begin to listen instead. To birds, to memories, to your own heartbeat. And what you find there is not loss, but clarity. You realize that growing older isn't about decline, it's about distilling life down to what actually matters. And it begins with letting go. The first burden that starts to melt away is what others think of you. In youth and middle age, we're often governed by an invisible audience. Family expectations, social media validation, career politics, neighborhood comparisons. But after 70, you earn the right to live unfiltered. It's not rebellion, it's liberation. You stop dressing for approval and start dressing for comfort. You speak less to be liked and more to be understood. You no longer force laughter in rooms that drain your spirit. There's immense peace in no longer explaining your choices, your past, or your needs. You've lived long enough to understand that most people are too busy worrying about their own flaws to scrutinize yours. And the few who judge, they don't matter anymore. This is your time to be fully, unapologetically yourself. When you free yourself from external opinions, you finally hear your own inner voice. Wise, calm, and deeply honest. And in that voice, you discover who you were always meant to be. Next, regret is a heavy suitcase, and many people carry it well into their later years. Reliving decisions, replaying mistakes, mourning lost time. But something remarkable happens after 70. You realize that regret doesn't change anything except your ability to enjoy the present. You begin to see your life as a story, not a perfect one, but one with depth, color, complexity. Regrets are chapters, not the whole book. And no matter what happened, you are still here. You've endured, you've learned, and you still have the pen in your hand to write the ending. Forgiving yourself becomes an act of maturity, not weakness. You give yourself permission to say, I didn't know better then, but I do now. That one sentence can unlock a lifetime of healing. You begin to focus not on what could have been, but on what still can be. You plant flowers not because you'll see them bloom for decades, but because the act itself brings you joy today. Letting go of regret isn't forgetting. It's choosing to walk forward unchained. Next is letting go of appearances and status. If youth is obsessed with image, aging is obsessed with ease. The pressure to keep up appearances fades as you realize how little these things actually contribute to your well-being. Fancy clothes start to feel more like costumes than expressions of who you are. Expensive gadgets become annoyances instead of upgrades. And suddenly, you're not impressed by titles, resumes, or luxury brands. You're impressed by kindness, honesty, and people who truly listen. You begin to recognize elegance in simplicity, in walking shoes that support your back, in a well-worn sweater that feels like home, in laughing until your belly aches with someone who accepts you without makeup, without pretense. This freedom is golden. You're no longer curating your life for public consumption, you're living it for your own fulfillment. And in this shift, you discover something surprising. You become more attractive, more magnetic. Not because of what you show, but because of how little you need. That's true confidence, and after 70, you've earned it. And next is releasing the need to please everyone. In our younger years, many of us are trained to be agreeable, to avoid conflict, to put others first even when it empties us. But one of the most liberating transformations after 70 is realizing that people-pleasing is not a virtue, it's a trap. You start recognizing how often your own needs were buried beneath the needs of others. And now, you give yourself permission to say no without guilt. You stop attending events out of obligation. You speak your truth even if your voice shakes. You recognize that kindness does not mean self-abandonment. And slowly, something profound happens. The people who remain in your life are those who love the real you, not the version of you who bends and contorts to fit their expectations. Relationships become lighter, more honest. You begin protecting your energy the same way you protect your home. And you stop chasing love. You attract it by being whole. When you let go of pleasing everyone, you finally start pleasing yourself. And that too is a kind of healing. Loneliness is a fear that looms larger as we age, especially when friends pass, family moves away, or the phone rings less often. But solitude, when embraced, transforms from punishment into power. The elders who find fulfillment are often those who learn to enjoy their own company. They walk slower through parks. They cook meals for one with care, as if feeding a guest. They sit on porches and listen, not just to birds, but to their own thoughts. They turn inward and realize they're not empty. They're rich with memory, reflection, and wisdom. Being alone doesn't mean you're unloved. It means you're free from constant noise, and that silence can be sacred. When you stop fearing solitude, you start cultivating something deeper, presence. You begin to feel moments instead of rushing through them. You read not just to pass time, but to feed your soul. You reflect not to dwell, but to honor the road you've walked. This is not loneliness, it's sovereignty, and it changes everything. The final weight to let go of after 70 is perhaps the heaviest: grudges. Resentment is a poison disguised as protection. We hold on to past wounds thinking they guard us, but in truth they age us. Bitterness sets into the face, into the body, into the very tone of voice. But forgiveness is not weakness, it's strength. It's not approval of the past, it's freedom from its grip. When you forgive, you reclaim your energy. You let the wound breathe, and in doing so, you let yourself heal. After 70, you begin to realize that time is precious, and using it to nurse old wounds is like using fine wine to water weeds. The people who wronged you may never apologize. That's okay. Your peace doesn't need their permission. You forgive not to fix the past, but to protect your future. And in doing so, you become lighter. You smile more. You sleep better. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You breathe again. That's not forgetting. It's choosing life over resentment. And that choice may be the most important one you make in your later years. After 70, life doesn't get smaller. It gets clearer. You begin to see that much of what once mattered really doesn't. And in that realization, you find a new kind of joy. Not loud or flashy, but deep and steady. The happiest elders aren't the ones with the most toys or the busiest calendars. They're the ones who travel light, who know that peace is found not in what you add, but in what you release. If you're listening to this and you're in your 70s or beyond, know this: you have nothing left to prove. Your worth is not in your productivity or your popularity. It's in your presence, in your laughter, in your ability to savor a moment. Let the world race on. You found a better rhythm. One of wisdom, one of simplicity, one of profound beauty. What have you let go of that brought you peace? Share it in the comments. Let's celebrate not just survival, but the quiet power of release. And always remember, sometimes the greatest act of strength is learning to simply let go.